Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Talking Growth with Instruqt. Instruqt is a product adoption platform where learning and selling collide. We enable companies create amazing interactive demos and training embedded throughout the customer journey. Check out the Instruqt test drive to see how growth-minded companies generate demand and boost adoption with Instruqt. So, our guest, he doesn't need any introduction. The Wes Bush, he is the CEO of Productled and best-selling author of the book Product-Led Growth. He is one of the most sought-after product experts in the world. Welcome to the show, Wes.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. We're really excited to have the opportunity to speak with you today. The
Awesome.
last time you were with us at our show, you explained what product-led growth is, and that was more than a year ago, actually. So I'm really, really happy to see you back. And today we're gonna go through the how of product-led growth. So you're gonna share some of your insights on how to build a winning product-led growth strategy. So let's start with the first question. So actually, I recently saw a post from you on LinkedIn talking about it's really time that, you think about your product-led growth strategies because 2023 product-led growth companies will shine. So maybe can you tell us a little bit what motivates you to share this with, a lot of the businesses out there?
Totally. So if you look at like earlier, like maybe like 5 years ago when like product-led growth was like initially coming onto the scene, there was like, wow, like this is an amazing way to like grow a business and everything else like that. People were like super excited about some of the benefits, but what I actually love studying is macroeconomics. Like what are some of the big drivers of this? Because like every new label for a marketing term or something like that. It's like, oh, well, before product-led growth, it was content marketing. Before content marketing, it was growth hacking. It's like all of these evolutions of the way we do business, it usually has a core reason why it has it. It's not just like, oh, let's slap on a term and like, let's call it something new. So what I looked at back then was there was a few really big studies that were done around customer acquisition costs. And so customer acquisition costs, they've been increasing about like 50% over the last 5 years, and it's actually accelerated. So like you're seeing this side of things where it's like customer acquisition costs are rising. People are like just tired of ads, even like big, sites like Meta. It's like, okay, it's getting people are just tuning them out way easier than they used to. So like customer acquisition is hard. And part of what's driving that too is like there's just so many different competitors for every single category imaginable because it's never been easier to start a company. So that's one piece. The second piece is consumer willingness to pay is actually going down every single year. And this is part of the amazing thing. Like in like 50 years from now, we'll be looking back at the tech we're using. We're like, my goodness, the tech we have now is like everything that we have for free is what we were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for as businesses. It'll just be amazing. Like so much of it will be free. And there's just like really is a deflationary environment. Technology has always been that way. So that's decreasing. And so in a recession, whether you want to define it as like, okay, we're going into a recession or not, I don't want to be the doomsday person, but either way, product-led companies, they are positioned strategically right now to actually capitalize on this, where you'll see, okay, in a recession, what typically happens? People want to spend less. Okay, great. So also companies are wanting to slash their customer acquisition costs because they're realizing, okay, it's less effective right now. So a product-led company, it has both of those benefits as one of these big things. It's more capital efficient, even when it comes to like onboarding users and stuff like that. One of the reasons why it's so much more efficient is because the product actually does a lot of the heavy lifting that your team used to do. So that's not replacing your team. Your team can just work on higher value tasks, not necessarily manually onboarding every single person, as an example. So that's really why I truly believe like 2023 and in the future, product-led companies are really just having a moment now where it's like they're here to stay and really shine in light of a recession.
Yes. Well, that's good news for product-led companies. But for those who haven't started the journey or just started, um, what do they need to do?
Totally. So there's a lot. I mean, like one of the things that we're always thinking about a product is like, where do people start typically like in this journey? And like, a couple years ago, it was like, what is product-led growth? And now we're seeing like, okay, more and more companies are like at the stage where it's like, okay, we heard about product-led growth so much, but we're like still unclear about how to do it. And this is really where we were talking about it a bit earlier, where it's like, it's about, you have to start with a product-led strategy. But before you even like kind of get to that point, one of the core things that you need to understand as a business is like, why do product-led companies win? And that's a tough question to answer because it's like, well, okay, it might be capital efficiency. That part is important, right? Okay, it's like consumer wants to pay. They can offer products at better prices. Yeah, yes and no, but like, what's at the root of it? If you think about the applications that you use in your day-to-day and you also upgrade and pay for, what all of those most likely applications have in common is that when you signed up for it, you were able to get the value very quickly. You're able to experience the value of the product and you loved it enough so that you actually decided, hey, I want to continue using this product and I'm willing to upgrade and pull out the credit card to use it. So that's really at the core of what's driving product-led companies and this big shift is you really need to tackle that part of your users need to be successful. If you don't create successful users in whatever free environment you have, and it's going to be really, really hard to ever make this work. So you need to start with just asking that question about like, okay, what is user success? What does that look like for our specific users? And what happens for a lot of sales-led companies that are trying to make this bigger transition over to being product-led is sometimes they have to understand that there's different problem sets. Some they can give away for free and some should be gated. And this whole discussion of like what to give away for free versus what to lock up behind a paid bar is really useful. And we in our program, we talk about like, your beginner problems. These are like problems earlier on in the user journey. I'll give you an example with Vidyard, a company I used to work at. So their whole mission was to basically enable people to use video throughout their entire business. So initially when we had a free trial, it was just you could upload your video and then we would host it for you. And then you would embed that video into your website. And then you'd have to integrate it with your Marketo or whatever marketing automation platform you're using. And then I could see that you're watching my video, which is creepy, but cool for marketers. And so that was something where I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that is really valuable, but actually only like a couple percent of people would ever get to that point because it was a big ask. And so when we were actually making that transition, we the first free trial bombed. And then for the freemium model, what actually ended up working was it solved the beginner problems. And that beginner problem for Vidyard was people just don't know how to create the video. And that part is hard. And so it was like, could we create a Chrome extension or something like that? So sometimes you might go into this and be like, okay, yeah, there's a lot to do, but what it comes down to is how do we really enable a user to solve something meaningful in their specific life so that when they're ready to kind of upgrade to more advanced problems, they're already using our solution and we're the best fit for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about like changing the mindsets maybe within the company? Is it also an important factor in this whole strategy?
Totally. And that is honestly one of the biggest pieces of it too. And there's the mindset, but then I also like to like follow it up with the different metrics that are a part of this. So when there was the marketing revolution with marketing automation platforms, we heard a ton about marketing qualified leads. It was the bane of my existence when I was in demand gen. I was like, oh, okay, so they download this white paper. Here's 50 points. You go to our pricing page. Here's 50 points, or maybe 100 because that's a higher intent, right? So like it would have magically get up to 500, and then boom, it's like then they're talking to sales. So it was this really weird kind of system, and it's kind of like playing bingo or something like that. Oh, you hit the jackpot, you got the demo request. So it was fun and all, but it really lacked one core piece. Like, it measured intent, yes, we got close, but it didn't quite hit the bullseye. And that bullseye was, it didn't measure success. And that's really the part, is like, okay, one part is the mindset. Like, the big mindset shift everyone needs to understand is like, in order to be successful as a product-led business, your users need to be successful first. And that like revolution there is a bit different, because it's like, oh, actually, instead of just someone comes to our website, we need to actually, instead of just sell them, we need to serve them first. And then once we've done our job of helping them see some success, solving those beginner problems, then it's like, okay, now it's actually time to have that conversation. If you want to keep using our solution, we are a business after all. So there's that part. But what I found to really create that mindset that's really helpful is like, really start measuring what that user success is, and then tying it to every single department. So for your marketing team, what you can do is, if you as an organization get clear on like, okay, this is what a user being successful looks like in our product, from the very first kind of like getting set up with their account. Okay, great. So like, when you, let's say, have that free model, the marketing team can then be measure on like signups, how many people signed up for this, and then also how many of them actually got to value. That's really great as a marketer, and the marketing teams love it too, because they're like, oh, actually, that trade show event did not actually like, fizzle out as much as we wanted to, but great conversations. And then for the sales team, they can start measuring, okay, out of those people who see success in the product, what's our track record? What's our hit rate, as far as like, how many of these can we close into paid opportunities if you do have to have a conversation with sales? And so, and then even for product, they can start looking at this product qualified lead metric or user success metric and start saying, okay, it's at 10% right now. What could we do? Like, where are people getting stuck in this journey to really see value? And so they can start unblocking people throughout the rest of the product. So when you have that measurement, it actually creates the mindset that actually lasts much longer than just like, everyone, user success is important, but it's like, no, actually, like, we're measuring this. This is part of our company scorecard. This is part of everyone's like KPIs. That's really how you not just like spark the fire, but you basically keep it and you build it.
So it's really a journey that I think companies need to go through many experiments to really observe and understand the users really well to reach the success.
Totally. Yeah.
So who do you need in your team for your product-led growth projects?
Yes. So first, maybe this is the person who's listening to this. You got to have the driver. Like, who is going to lead this initiative in the team and actually roll up their sleeves and kind of figure out a lot of this stuff. In the companies that I've seen who have successfully led this transition, this is the person who's actually okay with uncertainty. They actually thrive in uncertainty. They're like, oh, there's no proven SOP for this. Hell yeah, like, I love this. If you have the person who's like, I need a process to that, no, do not do not put them on this. There is no clear-cut process for this, because this is different for every single business. And so you really, like, I would, before getting into the rest of the team, I want to just focus on the leader traits, because you have to pick this person very strategically, or maybe that's you. You're like, oh, I identify with that. That's great. But the other thing is, like, they have to love getting better every single day. Just have this growth mindset. They're willing to fail and be okay with that, because they don't take it as like a problem with their ego. Anything like that. It's like, no, there is no failure. It's just learning. We're learning faster. And I think just being scrappy, like, this has to be someone entrepreneurial. They have to understand, like, okay, what would be going through someone's head when they're signing up for a free model? What would kind of motivate them to understand how to, upgrade, and what are some of the decisions they have to make outside of our product? The other thing too is just pick a leader who's like okay with like optimizing for learning, not just perfection. So like, that's the leader characteristics. who it could be within an organization. I've seen so many different examples. It could be like your growth product manager, just a product manager, your head of product, CPO. It doesn't even need to be within the product team. I've seen it also led from the marketing team as well. But the thing is, this person needs to have clout. They need to have resources as well and be able to really take some swings. And in larger companies that, let's say, are over like $10 million, like sometimes this is, okay, you're going in a different room or maybe even a different location to launch this new like free product, because it is a different, like you want to create that different mindset on this team. So that's for the leader side of things. You really want to be conscious of who you pick, because that's the biggest predictor of success. But then for everyone else, the leader is only as good as the team. So you need to make sure you have these skill sets. So one is someone who really understands the user experience. This could be a product designer. This could be a user experience designer. You need to have someone who can just actually be like, okay, let's go through this. Let's design something really quick, really crafty, and see if it works. And then the other one is someone who's really researching, understanding the user, doing the user tests, usability tests, and really is just the voice of the customer. And this, in the early stages for companies, this could even just be your customer success or customer support person, because they're already every single day, they're talking to people, they're understanding, oh, actually, yeah, users, they always reach out to me about this problem, like, please solve it. And so they're going to be the voice of the customer. You need to have that. That could also be someone in sales too, that would be really add some weight to the conversations. It's not just, I have an idea. It's like, no, the customer told us this. Let's listen. The other skill set you need is someone on the development side who really understands, okay, yeah, here's why we made some of these decisions. Because when you're like going through your onboarding flow and you're like, yeah, rip this out, rip this out. Sometimes those are supporting beams, just like in a house. And you're like, yeah, don't touch it. It's there for a reason. So you need to have the developer on that side too. And then product marketer as well is very important, or having someone who has that copywriting experience, because you're going to be testing out new things. You're going to be launching new things, and you want to understand, okay, what is going to hit home for people and what are truly those jobs to be done that we are solving. And let's make sure we're communicating that, because nothing will derail this more than if that first impression is off. And I'm like, what is this free product? And people are like, oh, they get into it and they're like, oh, the onboarding experience could have been amazing, but like I had no clue what I was signing up for. So it will never be successful. And the last thing is just having that data analyst or someone who is really just in charge of the data and can really prove out, okay, this is working, this is not working, this is like the gap in the funnel. So for startups, some people could wear multiple hats here. That's completely fine. But in larger organizations, you definitely want to have like one person dedicated to each of these.
And what are the common challenges you see for companies going through this journey?
Yeah, I think the biggest one, if we were to just pick like one big challenge, is companies go into this a lot of the time without a clear strategy. And like I always define strategies like it is about making choices with limited data, limited resources, and limited time. And so it's just like, okay, what is our strategy? But where I feel like most strategies in general fall short is a lot of them start with the basis of, what do we want to do as a company? What should like our focus be? And that's useful. You still need to do that. But when it comes to how do you win as an organization, that's really where I see it changing for companies who are thinking about, okay, I want to be more product led. How you win is different. In a marketing led company, how you win is, okay, we're going to get the most leads. Let's say we're going to be the biggest brand here. We're going to like, you know, if anyone says Google, we're going to be Google, whatever. Our name's going to be synonymous with that. That's like ideal success there. And that still is very successful. You can do that even as a product led company. But in a sales-led company, it's like, okay, we're going to get the best, like top 100 accounts. In a product-led company, it's like, actually, we're going to create the product that helps the user become the most successful. And so there's 5 questions that you have to get really, really clear on if you're going to successfully build a product-led strategy. So the first one is just like, what game are you playing as a business? There's 3 games. There's like, are we playing the game of attention? We're trying to like entertain people, keep them here, like news sites or Netflix or something like that. And then there's like transactions, something like Amazon or e-commerce store. We're just trying to get people to predict what they want to buy. And then there's the last part, which is productivity, which is actually most of B2B SaaS is like, okay, we want to help you do something faster. You could probably do this on your own, but here's why you shouldn't. It's going to take you forever. So like get clear on what game you're going to play. And then what does it mean to win? That's the second part. So if you're clear on this as an organization, it's like, what does this mean to win? Not for you. That's the trick. It's for your user. What does it mean for them to win at this game? If your game is your product adoption platform and winning for that person is like, okay, you save them a ton of time. Their users are able to onboard in half the time. Like those are meaningful wins for the user. And then the third part of this question and getting clarity on it for your product-led strategy, just like who is your hero? So every company is going to attract different types of users. And especially when it's free, you're going to have some people who are like, you know what, that person's never going to convert. And you got to be okay with that. That's always going to happen. You're always going to attract a broad swath. But you need to be clear as an organization of like, who is that ideal user? Who can really win at our specific game that we have right now? They're the best at winning this. We're going to focus on those people because they are going to be the most successful. And most likely they're going to stay the longest as a customer. They're willing to pay the most as well. And then the 2 other parts are all about enablement. So like the last is like, how will you help your users win? So in a product-led company, a lot of this is about, okay, how could we make our product have a faster time to value? How could we help people, make the pricing discussion so easy? Maybe it's your initial plan's $10 a month or something like that. It's like, it's literally a no-brainer, like, and you don't have to think about it. So what are some of those ways you can enable the user to win? And then the last part is, what are some of those capabilities that you need to build in your organization? And so for a lot of companies, especially ones making this transition from sales-led to product-led, this is where those, it's kind of like, where's our opportunities for growth? It's like, okay, yeah, if we're truly going to make our users win by having a fast time to value, maybe one of our capabilities we need to build as an organization is we really need to master onboarding. We really need to understand how to help users get to that, meaningful win very quickly. And so that's a capability where it's like, okay, let's pick like 2 or 3 of these per year. And eventually, like, this is going to look like it's an actual team. It's a team that understands exactly how to onboard users. And they're really adept at this. And we can see it throughout our metrics that, okay, we're actually helping more users become successful. And so, that's really the first 5 things you need to do to really build that product-led strategy and then carry it out into something where it's like, okay, we're working on these capabilities to really empower the user.
Well, these are very important and fundamental questions. What do teams normally go through in working out to understand all these 5 topics? What do you suggest as the best process to go through that?
Yeah, I mean, we do have like a free kind of training on this on our website. If you go to productled.com, where people go through, you went through it yesterday, a 2-hour-long workshop.
Yes.
We'll work on our own time to value to make that shorter too. But there will be a workshop component where you can go through it individually. That's what we recommend is like everyone goes through it. Like some of the best individual contributors on a team, they have the best ideas. And then whenever you do like a team brainstorm and start with that, it's like, okay, you hear like a smidgen of that like brilliance. So we always recommend start off going through those 5 questions individually in the workshop format, and then have the team lead, whoever is driving this initiative, host another team workshop where it's like, okay, now that you all have your ideas, let's see where everyone aligns up. Let's put all our ideas in one spot and then look through and see, okay, where's their overlap? And that's awesome. We're in alignment. And then there's going to be some other things where it's like, whoa, there's like that was way off. But maybe there's something to that we should consider as far as like, how do we really help users win? And then what are some of those capabilities that we should work on? So that's really the best way to get that buy-in around your product-led strategy, because everyone that way is able to contribute and be a part of the whole process. And as I've learned through helping hundreds of companies become more product-led, is getting that buy-in is one of the hardest things, but one of the easiest ways to do it is just involve them as part of the process.
Yeah, I truly recommend the workshop yesterday. It was really fun and also leads me to think a lot about, our product as well and the users and how to make them successful. That will be your success. So great
Totally.
tips from the workshop. Um, so from your experience, what are some of the unrealistic expectations that people have about product-led growth?
Yeah. So I'll tell my own personal story of this one because I think like for everything that I give as advice, I've tested it and I'm like, okay, yes, I agree. So this is coming from my own personal experience on this. So we launched my book on product-led growth completely for free. So if anyone wants to check it out, it's productledbook.com. But what was funny about this is, so I was looking through the page views, like before, this was like March 2022, we were deciding like, should we give this away for free? So it was like, I think 2,000 or 3,000 kind of like page views per month. It was like, I mean, decent, but it wasn't substantial as far as like overall traffic. So we were like, okay, that's like, all right, let's, what would this look like if it was for free? And we just like had it all ungated on the site. And so then we gave it away in April. We announced it, so like on all our channels as well as on Product Hunt and stuff. It was only like 4,000 or 5,000 page views like at the end of that month. And then like May comes around, it's like back to 3,000. And then June comes around and it was like, I think like 4,000. So it's going up, but it's like painfully slow. I'm like, my goodness. And then by the time it got to like August, it was like 25,000 page views. I was even blown away because I was like, wait, like, is this spam? Like I was asking the team, like, is this spam? And then every time I checked Google Analytics, I was like, wow, there's like always 10 people who are reading this book at all times. I was like, this is kind of weird, but like good weird. So like companies have now adopted this as like, okay, like everyone in the company just read this, get on the same page about what is product-led growth. I was like, oh, I never thought that would have been like, what is happening here? But that's when we looked into it, that's what was. And so the learning here and why I told that story is because when you launch something for free, one, it's not an overnight success. Like that took us 6 months before we ever started to say, oh, that initiative was actually successful. Like you asked me at 3 months, I've been like, don't do it. Like, because in order to do that, like we actually had to give up like a publishing rights to like Wiley and like other areas because they don't obviously want to sign authors who give their stuff away for free. So there was like different risks on that end, but what was great is like, okay, 6 months later, it did work. But the other thing too is it's not just one and done. You have to consistently optimize these things. It's like, okay, your free thing, like it's just like any other piece of your business. Like you got to improve it, just like your product in order to get better. Your first version of free is probably going to, I'll use a quote from Jacqueline Cook, who is the chief strategy officer of Industry. She's like, your baby is going to be ugly at first. And it's so true. Like for product-led companies, when you, or soon to be ones who are the sales that are making this transition and launching a free version, it's like, yeah, it's going to be ugly initially, but like continue working on it. So that's the second point. And then 3, don't stop promoting it, especially if you believe that it is truly valuable. Never stop that promotion of it. And more people will find out about it, and then it will eventually grow into something really, truly big and successful.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So that's a wrap. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Maybe one last question for those who are really interested to get started on the product-led growth journey, Wes. What resources, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. So, I mean, our whole goal at Productled is to give you, as an individual, everything for free, only monetized teams. So we have Product-led book. If you go to that, it's productledbook.com. That's the free Product-led growth book. I'd recommend kind of starting there. If you have questions on your journey as far as building a product-led business. We have another one of the biggest product-led communities around this, so productledcommunity.com if you're interested in that part. And then if you're like, okay, I just want like a quick like 45-minute like update on like get on the same page about what is product-led growth, don't have time to read a book, prefer videos, we have the free product-led growth fundamentals certificate. And so yeah, you can find that all at productled.com.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yeah, I think we're really lucky to have all these resources available, and they are free, you said. So
Yes, all free.
that's great. Okay, so thank you very much. And I would like to thank our audience, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you.